I need to tell you something. And honestly, I've never told this story fully to anyone. Not my family, not my best friends, nobody. But I'm sitting here tonight, and I can't keep it in anymore. I worked 3 jobs for 5 years, 3 jobs for someone I thought was my soulmate. And yeah, I know that sounds crazy. I know what you're probably thinking right now. But the thing is, when you love someone, you don't think about it. You just do it. You sacrifice. You push through. You believe it's all gonna pay off. But what if it wasn't? What if the person you sacrificed everything for was destroying you behind your back? Well, that's my story. And I'm gonna tell you exactly how I didn't see it coming. Let me take you back. It's 2019, I'm 24 years old, fresh out of college, working at this warehouse during the day. Entry level, making maybe $32,000 a year. Not a lot, but it was honest work. And honestly, I was fine with it. Then I met her. Her name was Sarah. She walked into the break room one morning and I just knew. You know that feeling? When someone walks in and suddenly you stop existing for a second? That was me. She was beautiful, sure, but it wasn't just that. She was funny. She was sharp. She had this way of making you feel like you mattered. We started talking. We started hanging out after work. Within 3 months, we were officially dating. Within 6 months, we moved in together. And that's when everything shifted. She'd been working as an administrative assistant, making about $36,000 a year. We were happy. Poor but happy. We had this tiny apartment in the suburbs, and we'd cook dinner together, watch Netflix. Just exist. It felt simple and perfect. But then Sarah started talking about her dreams. She wanted to go back to school. She wanted to become a therapist. She wanted to open her own practice one day. And I was like, that's beautiful. That's amazing. But the math didn't work, right? School was expensive. Living expenses were expensive. And her family, they weren't in a position to help. Her mom was a single parent, struggling with her own stuff. So one day, she looked at me with those eyes, and she said, what if you could help me? What if we could do this together? And I said yes, without actually understanding what yes meant. That was my first mistake. So here's what happened. I picked up a second job. It was at a restaurant, evening shifts, 5 days a week. So my schedule became wake up at 5 a.m., warehouse until 2 p.m., go home for an hour to eat and change, restaurant from 4 p.m. to 11 p.m., come home around midnight, sleep for 5 hours, repeat. Sarah started school. Community college first, then she transferred to a 4-year university. She was so grateful, Every single day she'd thank me. She'd say, I don't know what I'd do without you. You're my rock. You're the reason I can do this. And man, that fuel that kept me going. When I was tired, when my feet hurt, when my back was screaming at me after standing for 16 hours, I'd think about her sitting in class, learning, growing, becoming this amazing person. And I'd feel like I was part of something bigger. Then came year 3 of her school. That's when I picked up the third job. Her student loans were higher than we expected. Tuition went up. And also, she wanted to live better, She wanted a nicer apartment. She wanted to not have to stress about money while she was studying. She deserved that, right? She was working her ass off in school, and I could work. So I got a job at a gym on weekends, 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Saturdays and Sundays. Let me paint you the picture of my life at this point. Monday through Friday, I'm working 2 jobs, bringing in around $3,800 a month from those. Weekends, I'm working a third job. My one day off was Sunday night, which I usually spent doing laundry and prepping meals for the week. I was making about $52,000 a year across 3 jobs. Sarah was taking on student loans, yes, but she wasn't working. She had asked to go part-time in her studies and work, but I said no. I said, you focus on school. I got this. I was 26 years old, and I was running on about 4 to 5 hours of sleep every single day. But here's the thing. I was happy, genuinely happy, because I believed in her. I believed that one day she'd graduate, become a therapist, make good money, and we'd have this beautiful life together. I saw it so clearly. Me and her, a house eventually, maybe kids, traveling, and all of this suffering would have been worth it. So I pushed hard. I did my taxes. I did all the household stuff. I managed our finances. I cooked. I cleaned. She would come home from school, and I'd make sure everything was taken care of for her. I was essentially supporting everything, and she loved me for it, or at least that's what I thought. Everything seemed perfect on the surface, Our relationship was strong. We barely fought. We had sex regularly. She'd bring me coffee during my shifts at the warehouse. She'd leave me sweet notes. We'd plan our future together. From the outside, we looked like the perfect couple. I looked like the perfect boyfriend. But I wasn't paying attention to the cracks. Looking back now, there were signs. Of course there were signs. There always are. But when you're sleep deprived and you're in love, you miss things. Around year 4, she started going out more. Girls' nights. She said she needed to decompress from school. She'd go out on Friday nights, come home around 1 or 2 a.m., and I wasn't the jealous type, I trusted her. I encouraged her to have her own life, her own friends. I wasn't one of those controlling boyfriends. But here's what I missed. She started being secretive with her phone. She'd angle it away from me. She'd have her phone notifications on silent. She'd take calls in the bathroom. One time I woke up around 3 a.m. and she wasn't in bed. I found her in the living room texting someone. When I asked who she was talking to, she said, "Just my study group." "But why would your study group be texting at 3 a.m.? I mentioned it to her gently, and she got defensive. She said, "Are you seriously checking up on me? Don't you trust me?" And I felt like I was the bad guy. So I backed off. There were other things too. She started dressing differently. When she went out, more intentional. She got her hair done. She started doing her nails regularly. She said it was for confidence, for school, for herself. And maybe it was. I don't know anymore. Her behavior shifted. She'd be on her laptop for hours, and if I came near, she'd close it quickly. She started having her own little secrets like, "Oh, I got us concert tickets, but it's a surprise." But then the surprise never happened, just excuses. One night, I found a Tinder notification on her phone. But when I opened it to ask her about it, the account didn't exist. She said she deleted it months ago, that she'd made a stupid account when we first started dating, long before, and she'd forgotten about it. At the time, I believed her. I was so sleep deprived and so committed to making this work that I didn't trust my gut. I overrode the warning bells in my head. That was my second mistake. Looking back, I think a part of me knew something was wrong, but acknowledging it would have meant having to do something about it. And I wasn't ready to do that. I wasn't ready to lose her. I'd invested everything, so I just closed my eyes and kept moving forward. It happened on a random Tuesday. I'm at the gym, working my third job, early morning shift, and my phone keeps buzzing. I check it. It's a notification from our shared Netflix account. Someone's watching something on a TV that's not ours. Now, we live in an apartment with one TV, our TV, so someone logged into our account from somewhere else. It probably would have been nothing, right? Maybe Sarah was at her friend's place. But then I get home that afternoon and I ask her about it, and she got weird. She was like, "Oh, I probably logged in at the library to watch something between classes." The library? I knew her schedule. She didn't have breaks between classes where she could be watching Netflix. I didn't push it. I let it go. But that night I couldn't sleep. So I did something I'm not proud of. I logged into our Netflix account on her laptop, which was sitting on the bed, and I checked the history. There were movies watched at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m., times when she was supposedly sleeping next to me, and they were being watched from a location I didn't recognize. My heart started racing. I'm not gonna do the whole cliche thing where I confront her that night. I'm smarter than that. So I did some digging. I'm not proud of it. I accessed our phone bill. I looked at the data usage on our shared plan, and I saw everything. Text logs to a number I didn't recognize. Constant. Every single day. Hundreds of messages. Phone calls at night when I was at my restaurant job. And here's the thing that killed me the most. This wasn't just some random person. This was someone who seemed to be a constant presence in her life. I confronted her the next day. I sat her down and I said, "Who is 4055-973?" And she went white. Like all the color drained from her face. I've never seen guilt so clearly written on someone's face before. She tried to play dumb. She was like, "I don't know what you're talking about." But I had receipts. I showed her. I said, "Sarah, these are your messages. I can see them. So don't lie to me." That's when she broke down. She started crying, and she told me his name was Marcus. He was someone she met at university. And they'd been talking for almost 2 years. 2 years. While I was working 3 jobs. While I was sacrificing everything. While I was pouring myself into making sure she had every opportunity to succeed. She was spending her time with someone else. But here's the thing that really destroyed me. It wasn't just talking. They had been physical. Multiple times. She swore it started as just emotional, but it crossed lines. He was buying her things. Taking her out on the nights. She was with her girls. Texting her in the middle of the night when I was working. And the worst part, the absolute worst part, she felt guilty. But not guilty enough to stop. She felt guilty enough to hide it. She was comfortable living in this double life. She was comfortable taking my sacrifices while giving her intimacy to someone else. When I asked her why, she said something that still echoes in my head today. She said, "Marcus makes me feel like he's interested in me. You're just always there. You're just working and working and working. You don't have time to actually see me. Do you hear that?" She felt neglected while I was working 3 jobs to pay for her school. I was so shocked that I couldn't even be angry at first. I was just numb. I asked her, "Why didn't you just tell me? Why didn't you just say you were unhappy? We could have worked on it. We could have talked about it." And she said something that broke me. "Because I didn't want to hurt you." "Oh, but cheating for 2 years, that's okay? That doesn't hurt?" I asked her to choose. I said, "It's me or him. Make a choice." And she couldn't. She said she loved us both. She needed time to think. She needed space. Space. I moved out that night. I called my friend Mike, packed a suitcase, and I left. I couldn't be in that apartment. I couldn't sleep in a bed where she laid next to me while having a whole other relationship happening in the shadows. That was 2 years ago. Last I heard, she's still with Marcus. They moved in together about 6 months after everything fell apart. And you know what the real kicker is? Marcus doesn't even have a college degree. He works in sales. He makes a decent living, sure, but he didn't help her through school. He wasn't there for the grind. He came in at the end when everything was easy, when she was about to graduate, and he got to enjoy the benefits of my work. She did graduate, by the way. She's a therapist now. She's making good money, and I'm happy for her, genuinely. I don't want her to fail or suffer, but she owes her degree partly to me, and I don't think she'll ever acknowledge that. Now, here's the thing that I've had to come to terms with, and it took me a long time to understand this. I'm not entirely blameless here. Yeah, she cheated. Yeah, she lied. Yeah, she betrayed my trust in the worst way possible. But I ignored every red flag because I was so committed to this idea of who she could be and who we could be together that I didn't pay attention to who she actually was. I enabled her in a different way. I said yes too easily. I didn't have boundaries. I didn't advocate for my own needs. I was so eager to be the hero that I forgot to be present. And when she said I wasn't there for her, maybe she was right. I was physically exhausted all the time. I wasn't emotionally available because I was too focused on being the provider. Does that excuse her cheating? No, absolutely not. If you're unhappy in a relationship, you communicate. You don't go find someone else. But it's made me realize that love isn't just about sacrifice. It's not about being a martyr. Real love is about presence. It's about showing up emotionally and physically. It's about building something together, not one person carrying the entire load while the other person benefits. I've learned that I have to love myself too. I have to respect myself enough to not let someone take advantage of my kindness. I have to set boundaries. I have to recognize when someone isn't appreciating the sacrifice I'm making and walk away before it destroys me. And here's the hardest truth. Sometimes, no matter how much you love someone, no matter how much you sacrifice, it's not enough. Because you can't control what they choose to do. You can only control what you choose to do. I'm doing better now. It took therapy to get here. It took a lot of healing. I'm still working hard, but not 3 jobs anymore. I'm 1 job now, and I'm taking care of myself. I'm dating again. I'm rebuilding my life. And if you're watching this, and you're in a situation where you're sacrificing everything while someone else is not reciprocating, not appreciating, not being honest with you, I'm telling you right now, that person doesn't deserve you. Don't wait 2 years. Don't push through the red flags. Don't convince yourself that everything is fine when your gut is screaming that it's not. Love someone who loves you back with the same intensity that you love them. That's the lesson I learned the hard way. I'm not angry at Sarah anymore. I'm just sad. Sad for what we could have been. Sad for the time I lost. Sad for the version of myself that I lost during those years. But I'm also grateful in a weird way. Because this experience taught me who I am. It taught me my worth. And it taught me that I'm stronger than I thought. So that's my story. That's what happened to me. And if telling this helps even one person avoid the pain I went through, then it was worth sharing. Thanks for listening.